started off this morning sobbing before 8:15 a.m. Yeah. And I'm not ashamed to admit that for two reasons. One, I am 34 and a half weeks pregnant. My emotions are so heightened and I'm exhausted. And two, I actually had this like very amazing learning moment from it. So why was I sobbing? I was sobbing because I'm not sleeping at all, so I'm just very exhausted. I've been waking up in the middle of the night almost like literally choking to the point that I feel like I have to like go throw up. And it's just because, there's a lot going on right here. And so the nights are really rough. Like I'm starting to feel myself get to a point where like I'm dreading nighttime because I know I'm not going to sleep. And so I'm not sleeping. We have a dog who I love so, so, so much. She's very reactive, and she was doing really, really good until really like a couple weeks ago. And I think she just knows like how pregnant I am, or like my hormones are so heightened that she's at the point now where she's like, there's something going on with my mom. And so walking her has always been what I've done. Like I've always been the one who takes her on walks in the morning. It's like our little thing that we do. It's our little routine. And it's just getting to the point now where it's like very difficult. She's like on edge the entire time. She's super reactive to any dogs, people now. And so it's like frustrating for me because I know like something has to change. And so there was all this stuff like compounding this morning, and I just hit a brick wall and I called my mom and I stopped my house. And the reason why, like I said, I'm not afraid to admit this is I learned something from this that I am hoping will help you today. I learned that it's not our job to try and carry everything, especially when it comes to something that feels really unknown. And so let me actually get specific on what I mean here because that was super vague. I am carrying a lot of emotions when it comes to becoming a mom. I'm very excited. I'm very nervous. I'm very, very, very scared for childbirth. That's something that I have always been scared of. That is like one of the things like leading up to doing IVF and getting pregnant that I was like, I don't like that. It terrifies me. I'll be very honest. It terrifies me. And so I've been having all these emotions that I've been personally holding on to. And then I'm trying to show up in business and I'm trying to show up, for my friends. And I'm feeling like I'm just not hitting the mark everywhere. And what I'm starting to realize, and I kind of had this epiphany this morning, is, if we go back to like being scared for childbirth, or if you go back to, I don't actually know what life is going to look like as a first time mom. This is brand new to me. It's really hard to envision how your life is going to change when you've never experienced this before. And so how does this relate to you and how does this relate to business? Well, it's probably really hard for you when I sit here and I'm like, becoming a Pinterest virtual assistant is the best thing in the entire world. It's completely changed my life. You're sitting there going, cool. I have no idea what that means. I've never experienced that. I have no idea how to like even envision what that reality could look like. And so I know through this process of pregnancy and, getting ready to become a mom, I've been taking a lot of courses and a lot of classes. We're really grateful that our hospital has so many amazing like classes we can go to. And so we've done a lot of those. And I've left all of these feeling really confident. Even if it was something so small and so simple, it's that confidence of learning from someone who has been where you want to go, right? And so for instance, we did a infant CPR class. And she was just giving us a lot of information outside of CPR. And I left being like, wow, I learned so much, but also I learned things that I didn't even think about. or I wouldn't have thought about. And it just allowed me to like step into this newfound confidence and to be like, okay, I can learn this and I can do this. And so I think so often we get paralyzed. We get paralyzed from the thought and the idea of, I don't know what that future looks like. I don't know what that entails. I don't know what my day to day would look like. How would I even make this happen? That we just don't take any action at all, right? And so that could be very well where you're sitting. You could be sitting in a spot where you're not taking any action. Maybe you're watching our content on Instagram, maybe you're watching all of these videos, but you haven't jumped into the free training yet, and you haven't like taken that next step to join us inside of the Pinterest VA School because you're having a really hard time figuring out, what does this look like in a reality of like your life, right? And so what I want to encourage you to do is I really want you to, if you haven't, jump into the free training, because I actually walk you through like what a day looks like as a Pinterest manager, as a Pinterest virtual assistant, what type of work you would be doing, how much to charge. Like I give you that kind of roadmap there. So that's the first thing I want you to do. The second thing I want you to do is to drop all expectations. Truly drop all expectations. I think when we put expectations on ourselves about something that we've never experienced, then we're just automatically setting ourselves up for failure. So dropping expectations when it comes to, is this something you would even like? Dropping expectations when it comes to how much money you want to make in the first 30 days, and instead actually like take action. Sometimes our expectations hold us back from taking action. Isn't that a crazy thing? That's a crazy concept to think about. But I know that sometimes I've had really strong expectations when it comes to business, and I've been expecting so much that then when it's not happening, I shrink and I go backwards, and I'm like, okay, well then I must be doing something wrong. And then you go through this cycle of just like literally never taking any action. It's kind of like the flywheel of inaction is happening, where you're literally like, you set an intention, you've set an expectation, you've set a goal, you start to take a little bit of action towards it, or you don't even take any action at all. Your mind immediately goes to, well, how will this happen? How would this even become a reality? And then you go back to that goal and you're like, oh, maybe it was too big. So you set a different one, and your mind does the same thing. Because your mind has never been in that reality before, it's automatically trying to keep you safe. That's what our minds do. Our mind's just trying to keep us safe. And so you end up being in this flywheel of inaction, just going through the same loop over and over and over again, because it's hard to envision what you've never experienced. And so I can sit here all day long and I can tell you how amazing it is to be a Pinterest virtual assistant. I can tell you how much it's changed my life. I can tell you that I truly cannot imagine going through pregnancy and working a 9 to 6. Like, y'all are absolute beasts who make that happen. Being able to have this freedom and flexibility. I mean, I think about yesterday, for instance. Yesterday, I literally had 2 doctor's appointments. Like, if I was working in a corporate job, or if I was even working a remote job, I would have had to take the day off, because I literally had an appointment for an hour in the morning. I had an hour and a half break, and then I had another appointment that was another like 45 minutes. And then I would have had maybe 2 or 3 more hours to work. Like, my boss would have been like, what are you doing? You have to use PTO. And so I could tell you all these things, but telling you all these things doesn't really mean much, because until you've experienced that freedom, or until you've gotten to a point where your back is up against a wall and you're like, something has to change, you're always going to kind of keep sitting in this spot. And so how do we get out of this spot? Well, first things first, if you haven't watched the free training, that is literally your first step, because it's going to really, really open your eyes up to the practicalness of what this looks like in action. I think that's so important. If you have watched the free training and you're still sitting here and you're still sitting in this spot of like, I don't know what the future would look like, I want you to know that's okay. Like, sometimes it's okay for us to just sit and be uncomfortable. It's also okay to ask for help. And that's what this morning taught me as well, is that it is okay to ask for help. And that is where the Pinterest VA School comes in. Like, that is the roadmap that I use to build a business that has generated multiple 7 figures. It's not fluff. It's not theory. It's not something that was pulled from ChatGPT. It is literally what I have learned over the last almost 9 years of being in business. It's a roadmap. It's a playbook. It's so you don't have to guess or question, are you doing this right? Are you missing something? That is like the perfect way to ask for help, is following a path. That's what I'm doing right now in pregnancy. I'm following other people's courses and paths. And the great thing about that is, as you get this information, you then get to decide what you want to do with it. You get to decide where you want to adapt it for yourself. So you can follow the path that you know is proven, you know that works. And then once you get some confidence under your belt, because confidence is literally just doing what you say you're going to do. So it's just making and keeping these promises to yourself. So when you start to get this under your belt, you're able to see, wow, I can do this. It's not that scary. Now I can put my own spin on it. I can make it really work for me in my life. And so I hope, if you're sitting here and you've made it this far into this video, I hope that something I said today is going to help you to take some action forward. It's going to help you to maybe get out of this indecision flywheel that sometimes we all find ourselves in, and to realize that like you actually are capable. But I understand that me telling you you're capable only goes so far, right? And so I want you to really write down one thing today that you're going to do. And like, you don't need to tell anyone about this, but if you are sitting there and you're like, I am going to watch the free training, watch the free training. Keep that promise to yourself, because that is going to build confidence. And then next thing you know, you're going to be building the business. Next thing you know, your shoulders are going to be pulled back a little bit further, because you are keeping promises to yourself. You are showing up as who you want to show up as. And it really is that simple. It's literally just small baby steps every single day. And that is regardless when it comes to business or comes to our personal lives. I always come back to, if I feel like I'm lacking in confidence, that means that somewhere along the way, I broke a promise to myself. And it's not like any deeper than that. And so, as always, we have so many resources for you when it comes to the free training, the Pinterest VA School. Now is the time to take action. We are coming into a season where you can build something absolutely amazing. You just have to make the decision. You have to make the decision that you want it bad enough and that you're worth that life. I know you're worth your dream life, 100%. I have no questions about it. Now it's time for you to actually believe the same thing. Okay, I'll see you in the next video.